Welcome to Learning English Topics.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Learning English Topics. At the end of our last video about would, wouldn't, will and won't, I promised we would look at would and used to. And that is exactly what we are going to do. If you haven't already seen that video, I recommend that you watch it. You can do it after this one. The order doesn't matter, but it will help you with your tenses. Our last video was all about the future, but today we will be going into the past, and would can be used for both the future and the past. But not in every situation, as we saw in the last video. In the past, we have a much more useful couple of words. Used to. Today, we're rewinding the clock and looking at childhood memories, and along the way, we'll learn how to talk about the past using used to and would. And if we're going to learn about school days, what better way to learn than by hearing some memories from Mr. Thompson here, who used to go to this school many years ago.
That's right. I haven't been back here in decades. It's bringing back so many memories already.
A decade is another way of saying 10 years. So when Mr. Thompson says he hasn't been back here for decades, he is telling us that the last time he was here could be 20, 30, 40 or more years. Using decades means that he doesn't have to be exact, and we know that it has been a very long time. Let's step inside and take a look around, shall we? You can tell us about what things were like when you were a student.
Oh, this hallway. I used to walk down here every morning to get to my classroom. It hasn't changed much.
So, used to is great for talking about things that happened regularly in the past but don't happen anymore. For example, Mr. Thompson said, I used to walk down here every morning. That was something he did often, but not anymore.
Exactly. And I would always stop by a notice board that was just over there to check for announcements. We didn't have mobile phones back then, you know.
So would is another way to talk about repeated actions in the past. But remember, we can only use would with actions. You couldn't say, I would have a classroom here. You'd have to say, I used to have a classroom here.
That's right. Speaking of classrooms, let's see if mine is still here. This was my classroom. I used to sit right over there by the window. It had the best view of the playground.
So, used to is also great for describing past states or situations. Like when Mr. Thompson said, I used to sit by the window. It shows where he sat in the past.
And every Friday, we would have spelling tests. Oh, I can still hear our teacher, Mrs. Carter, saying, don't forget to study your words.
That's another good example of would for repeated actions. You'd say, we would have spelling tests because it was a regular event.
Yes, and if we did well, Mrs. Carter would let us leave a few minutes early for lunch. That was such a treat back then.
It sounds like Mrs. Carter was a kind but firm teacher. What else do you remember about your lessons?
Oh, we used to have geography lessons on Wednesdays. The teacher would pull down a huge map and we would have to point out countries and capitals. I remember how much I loved that. It made me want to travel the world.
That's another great use of used to for states or habits. We used to have geography lessons, and the teacher would pull down a huge map, shows repeated actions during those lessons. Well, shall we continue with our tour?
Ah, the music room. I used to play the piano here during our music lessons. I wasn't very good, but I would try my best to keep up with the class.
So used to works well here to talk about something you did in the past, even if it wasn't a regular habit. And would shows those repeated efforts during lessons. Is it different to how you remember it?
Oh, yes, it's very modern now. Before there was a piano, some music stands, and a few instruments. Nothing like all this.
What kinds of songs did you play?
Oh, simple songs mostly. But I remember that at the end of the term, we would perform a concert for our parents. I used to get so nervous.
Performing in front of an audience can be scary. Did you ever make a mistake during a performance?
Once or twice. I remember I used to forget where to place my hands, and our music teacher would always whisper, "Focus, Thompson, focus."
Well, let's carry on. So, we're going to finish with the playground.
Yes, the playground. I used to play football here with my mates, and after school, we would race to the corner shop for sweets. It was the best part of the day.
Those sound like wonderful memories. So to sum up, we use used to for past habits, states or situations. Things that happened regularly in the past, but don't happen anymore. Like, I used to play football here. And we use would for repeated past actions, like we would race to the shop. A tip though, if you're ever confused, used to can be used in any situation, but would is for actions only. Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson, for sharing your memories with us. I think they've really helped us understand how to use used to and would.
My pleasure. I hope everyone watching finds it useful, and I believe on YouTube we should ask the viewers to leave a like and subscribe to help James here to make more of these great videos. Please do it now. It costs you nothing.
That's a great idea, and thank you for saying it. Now we have one more thing to discuss, and that is how we use the negative. Would is easy, but used to needs a little more explanation. And for that, I need something to write on. So let's go back to the classroom. Okay, let's talk about negatives. Would is easy. We know the negative is wouldn't. So we can say when I was at school, I wouldn't eat the school food. Used to is more complicated because the word used is in the past tense, and to make it negative, we have to add an auxiliary verb, didn't, which is also in the past tense, and we can't have both in the past. So used needs to be in its base form, use. This means the sentence, I used to enjoy reading books, in the negative would be, I didn't use to enjoy reading books. Well, I think that's enough for this video. Don't forget we still have the quiz to come, so don't go anywhere yet. See how much you can remember about today's topic, and don't forget, you can watch the video as many times as you need. It's completely free. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.